Page Kuf Design. So we finished talking about the Indian of Nera Samanero. That's the Indian of Aramim Chalakaya Melech Halom El Mata Lamayla. That's he says in Shoam Eschels Lamayla in the middle of Page Kuf Design. Why they call them Nasa Ali the Chalakaya Melech to the avoid of Aaron Akoyin Shekhinadvadonisa, which is two parts. There is our law of the Nefshalikis and the law of the bill of Nefshabamis. Through that, we reached Aramim Chalakaya Melech. Our law is in Shil of Adna Bavayat. That is the meaning what he started saying. Shil of Adna Bavayat. The Adna means Meloshan Antish Moidna Omena Odin Al Kula. You are known as the master of all Mokar Elamis. Vinalakaya Melech. So Melech and Adna is the same thing. That is the avoid of the menorah of Aaron HaKohen, Sheshminat Matonis. This is the reason why the lighting of the candles on menorah is before the shkir. Because the idea is the Shemesh Havai is still shining. It's the Allah into the Shul Havai means the Adna is Oile in Havai. In other words, the dominant power is Lifnei Shkir, the Gilui Havai. And Adna is Oile in Havai. The Inyanu, and he says, in other words, Allah is Machas that Tzil Oile Ba'atil is Hashem Meir Gil Shem Havai, Al Kein Adloka B'zman Hashem Shmeir. So this is the concept of Adlokas Neres HaMenorah, the Shil of Adna Ba'avai, the Allah, the ascent, elevation of Adna into Havai. Chain the B'nei Shabbos, similarly, concept
So
of
that means the
Shabbos,
dominant one is Havaya.
Light Shabbos candles before Shkir.
The dominant one is Havaya, right? The second, where it's being Mishul of two.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Chain the B'nei Shabbos, similar Ner Shabbos, the Shabbos Aliyas Ha'elam is the B'yah Ela B'Atzilus. Shabbos the time of Aliyas Ha'elam is the elevation elements, the Riyah is Eilu Atzilus Kmo She'emrim, that's what we say, davening of Shabbos, B'yei Mashvin Nis'ala V'yoshav Al Kisei Kvoidei, that B'yei Mashvin Nis'ala he ascended V'yoshav Al Kisei Kvoidei. So it says, Kabbalah Pshat in this Lashon, Da'ayin Sha'kenim D'vei Elam B'Atzilus, Shem Meir B'yei Atzilus. Al Kein, Alokas Ner Shabbos, Al Kein Mishkei Sachama. So similar to what we said, Ner Semanei, also Ner Shabbos. Both of them is the end of Shiloh Havai Vad. The concept of Ner Chanukah is the opposite direction. That the dominant, that what we want to achieve is the Shiloh Havai Ba'adna. The Adna is the dominant one. It means what we want to reach is not the Allah, but the Amshacha in Biyah, in the world of hell and Esther. That's why that log of Neil Chanukah in the Shkir, after Shkir, in the darkness. It brings another way to explain it, another way to express it. The Farm Ksiv. In davening, we say twice the Indian from Yachid Chei Elam. It's twice. The Farm Ksiv Yachid Chei Elam in Melech, and Baal Shama we say. Finish Baal Shama Yachid Chei Elam Melech Mishum Pei Yashma Godel. Bachad Hashem Melech Mebatish Bachad. So Yachid Chei Elam Melech in Baal Shama. Farm Ksiv. Sometimes we say that in Ishtabach Melech Yachid Chei Elam. The end of Ishtabach. So here the Yachid is before Melech. The Yachid is after Melech. What's the difference? Pirush Ma'ashem Yachid Chei Elam Melech. The Seifus Yachid and then Melech Hashem Sof Yachid and Yachid Chei Elamim. Upchinas Melech Levav Des Lakay Melech Lakem Tzadis Lakay Amim Chem Lamatel Melech. Yachid Chei Elamim Melech emphasizes the fact that Melech is below Yachid. That's why it's about Allah Lamatel Melech Canal. Melech Yachid Chei Elamim means that Upchinas Melech that Gam Sheisef at the Goldagin. Gam Sheisef at the Goldagin. That seals in the governance Biyah Upchinas Yachid Ashnas is Kesabatik Lebiyah. The fakir that Melech Yachid is Melech, which is the Loma Daiga, the Tishka Chama, that becomes the Yachid. What's mean? It says another question. The Kes, Nasis Kesav Atik Levi, it says in Kabbalah, Malchus becomes the Kesav of the world below. The Kesav Atik the Bria, yes, the Shachar to Prince Kesser, that Tilis, yes, and Mishiach to Prince Chachma that Tilis. Shachar to Prince Chachma Kesser that Tilis. So brings in this concept, like he's going to say it later on the word, the status of them is that is the direct line from one level of Kesser to the other level of Kesser, which is really expressing the same idea before. The same idea before that in the Shetish Kahama, that's the Zricha. The Hager explains it more specifically that Kesser of Bria is a direct line to Kesser of Atzilus, more the Chachma that Atzilus says the Kesser of Atzilus. Right? The way Chachma is created from Kesef Atzilut, it's Kamay Mitzir, Sheni Yedeh, Mayin Bolet. Kamay Chachma Eine Masig Mekayr. Now the Chachma doesn't have, is Eine Masig Mekayr. It's not connected to its Makkah. It doesn't capture its Makkah. Kesef. Kamayman, that's expressed in another expression, Zoya, less Machshava Tvisa Beiklau. The same Pesach Eliyah. What's the main Pesach Machshava Chachma? Which because of Zaya, Machshava, V'Yoel, Sparish Alman. The word Machshava and Zaya relates to Chachma, and that's why the Lashon in the usual language, you always have Abba Ve'eb Chachma Bina train rein the Leil Misparshin. The Lashon is Zaya. I would say Chachma Bina and Zaya Machshava V'Yoel. So Machshava is Chachma and Yovel is Bina. So we see from this Zaya that the expression Machshava means Chachma. So we say let's Machshava Tvisa Beiklau was mean that Chachma ain't like Tvisa by himself. So we made that Chachma v'yachas the Kesser is ain't like Tvisa. It's Me'ayin. It's Shalei Be'er. It's a leap. Hashem Kesser de Bria u'Pchinas Kesser de Atzilus. Kesser de Bria is a direct expression of Kesser de Atzilus. The Ishtashus HaKsorim Zem is all the Ksorim, the Kesser of each Olam has a direct Ishtashus from each other. Because he brings from the Maimer the Keirach, the Gulim Agam Shachim in Akav, Shoshim Igel Agol Shulifnei Akav. We spoke about it. It's like its own topic. That in each level of Ishtashus there's the Gulim v'Yesher, and in Ishtashus everything in Ishtashus comes to the Kav. To the Kav. All there is in Ishtashus, Achar Tzimtzum come from the Kav, but still the Gulim within Ishtashus, the Ksorim, I mean, the Seviv within Ishtashus is a direct line, and Shosham Igel Agadol. It's a direct line to the Igel Agadol, to the ultimate Igel Agadol is the Kesar HaKloli, the Seviv HaKloli. That's expresses the idea of Ishtashus HaKsorim with them is that, which basically means that in each world has its the expression of the Insof, which is above Ishtashlos, and that has direct. And each Olam has it, and each Olam has a direct line to the one above it. The Melech, when they go in your name, what you're saying here, the Melech, Yochid Chelam is Melech, which is Malchus, which is the Kesser of Bria. Yochid, it's connected directly to Yochid, which is the Kesser de Atzilus. Al-Kain, that's what he says in now. Al-Kain, it's Yochid, and what Bria is Yochid de Atzilus. So this is to explain the concept of Ner Chanukah. Well, Cain, when we come ba'olam, it's not true that the Kesser de Bria has a direct Kesser de Atzilus, and we call him ba'olam Pchinas Adna. The way it is in the way we experience in our world. The Madrig of Kesser de Bria, which means the Malchus, it's Pchinas Adna, it's in the Pchinas Shem Adna, it's in the lower way because we don't feel it. It's hidden. When Shekosa Makam Rishas Pashas Bereshis, they will make Migdash Melech in the spirit of Zayah. Pashas Bereshis says the Shem Adna Ukishamachas Nasas Kesser de Bria was the only Pchinas Shnei Ameres Agdenu. So he brings in the concept where it says in the Psukim of the Bria of Yom Revi, said, "Vayas Elokim et Shnei Melech Agdolim." Amar Gadol Mishal Hayim. Amar Gadol Mishal Hayim. The famous Gemara in Chulin, the Gemara says that first was Shnei Melech Agdolim, that the Shemesh v'Yareach were the same level. And then there was Miut Yareach. He says, "Vod Shnei Melech Agdolim was Miut Yareach." That when he says the Makam. The Oz, when the Machas Eredes Labiyah, nach Kasser Labiyah, that's a more cut. Oz ain't of Chnes Mer Shnei Mer like the Kommunikation about Tzilus, was Nim et Machas, and Nikas Klois Meisha, so Makim Kubita. The way Machas is not Tzilus, then it's called that. Then it's Mer Sagdolim. Then the Machas about Tzilus is still this concept of Gdolim. It means it's called it's part of Tzilus. It's part of the expression of pure godliness. That's Pnimis Machas, and that's also called. So brings in this. Brings in. I guess that's what it says in the Makam. It's also called Klois Moshe. The famous we read in Hanukkah. The last day. Vayibiyem Klois Moshe Lakim Samishkan. So the what Klois says the Tat of Vav. It says Kalas Moshe. Kalas means the Makabel, the Kala. So Kalas Moshe is the level the way it's in Atzilus. It's another. Then another way it says in what do we read it? Not in Nefes or something. Haskell. The Ima Bita, the mother is like this daughter. The daughter is like the mother. Another expression of the concept Bita, Basas Malchus. Ima, is Bina, and in that Madrega, the Ima Bita, that the Bita, which is Malchus, is in the state Bina, like Bina, like Keima, which basically expresses this concept. The way Malchus is not Silas, it's in a higher state. It's more Avakshas, the Biyah, Samarakot. Shenkim, when it descends in Biyah, which is in the state of Melech, then it's Marakot, it's diminished. So what's the avoida? The avoida is to be should be mamshalikus in this world. Zayin shol avayba adna la'am shepnis sab shem adna, that even the shem adna should be amshach sab. I know because Hamas Commission so the avoid that we're talking now, the avoid of Hanukkah, started saying the that even in the world of sorry, 1 second. Even in the world of Malchus, the way it's Malubish and Beria should be the Gil of the Ensof, the way it's Natzilus. I'm sorry, what's the question? Okay. That is the reason by the time of the Ner Hanukkah. Skip the line. Zayn Ner Hanukkah Shamshach. I'm sorry. Zayn Ner Hanukkah Shamshach Serbia. After Lam Shachesher the Bia, Lahoya Chesher the Bia. The weight of Ner Hanukkah. The Achas Tishkachama means that Shachat in the world of Chesher the Bia. Chen is one of Dakum Tishkachama. Eine Shkier so Shachat Shemesh Havai Bia. Like you said earlier, that the Avaya, the Chama, is Shkia. Shkia means it's, in a way, it's hidden, it's set. At the same time, Shkia, Yika, Zricha, we said earlier in the Maimah that the Ikar Gil is Dafka in the Shkia. Was that Dafka in the Shkia? There's the Amshacha of the Atzmus. Okay, now is a mere gamma cheshel de biyat. So it has the power to light, to brighten even the darkness of biyat. Like I said earlier, the cheshel itself, the Eshem Niva becomes the Eshem Miti. Who inyan aramimcha l'maylamata. That's the second shot in aramimcha. L'maylamata am shachas chinas remes in so biyat. It's an interesting shot in aramimcha. Aramimcha means I'll bring down your exalt. Your Highness. So that's a higher level than the Allah from before. Okay, so we've explained one point, that the Ner Hanukkah is the Allah is the Amshach al-Ma'alamat. But Zeo Shazmano Mishatishka Hama Shatichla Elim Nashuk, but Kama Adakar Elim Hamadoi. So in Mishatishka Hama, the Lashon is, like you said in the beginning of the Maimon. Number one, the tichler in a shuk. Number two, so both of these expressions are really expressing the same idea of the Aya Chesha. Number one, because what Talmud doy, Talmud is meredz. The word Talmud really is Isis meredz. The same letters as the word meredz, which is rebel. Kamoya meredz beBible. So there's a concept in halacha and in practice. There's a Bible, a woman who doesn't want to connect with her husband. With Moira, she's rebelling at him. So that's about Meret. So that's a marshal, obviously. It's the same thing. I ask, Meret means the Madrega, the Yeridas Madrega, the Meret. The Talmudoid is expresses the Merida, the rebellion against the Eberstein. So he goes into a little discussion. First of all, the of Bible. Sivki be'alaycha saich. The Indian says in Pasuk, be'alaycha saich Hashem tzvayis shmoi. Be'alaycha means the one who, the male, the Eberstein connects to Yisai. He's the one who created it. Says Chazal, ein ish anasis kli, the be'ila means the connection of the husband to the wife, that makes the kli. What does asa kli mean? Shemegoylam is medayik in the Lashonis Chazal. Negeh by what does it mean? Asa kli shemegoylam asa tzur. From a goylam, he made a tzur. From something that's shapeless turns it into something with a shape. So he explained better. Goylam, in our case, goylam means she'enek likibo. Goylam means that he's in a shapeless state. He doesn't have the capacity to receive, to accept the guilt. Okay, jumps either way, but it means Tabaydas Hashem. What does Moired mean? What does it mean? This means his mind does not accept the truth. He doesn't capture and doesn't understand in his mind godliness. He doesn't feel like in his heart, in his soul. So he goes into a little more discussion from that. The truth is now the next half a page is going to be almost like a shtick of Musar Shmuz to explain what the Goylam is and what is Meredis. So he goes very avoided it now, jumps into that to explain what is the Meredis, because what he wants to explain is the Kalir of Talmud, the Gili of Hanukkah is to take care of Talmud, but so to go there, he's going to explain Barichas what Talmud means, what Meredis means. He explains it in a very down-to-earth, practical level, now very avoided. Like I said, it's almost like a Musar Shmuz. What is he saying here? The Inner Knesset is so Nika Koisi Shuz. Says in Kabbalah, the Knesset is so, the Eden called a Koisi Shuz, means a cup, it means a vessel, a receptacle of your shoes. Shein kli kibul kava p'nis chasadim elyonim. The shoes are called chasadim elyonim, the high chesed for the Eibush, Alikus. Menika gamken Kodesh Bracha. Another name it's called is Kodesh Bracha, which means what is the function of Kodesh Bracha? Kava p'nis yain ha'mesameach. Just like Kodesh Bracha, what do we put in wine? So the same thing in the Nimshal, and Avodah, the fact that Eden are called Knesset called Kodesh Bracha is because Makabel Yain HaMesameach. With wine is bonus. Wine, we all know, wine is the Indian Mesameach, makes you happy. He says very bekitzer. It says in all places. Bina Simcha is connected to Bina, because when you understand something, you grasp it. It excites you, it makes you happy. So there's bonus brings Simcha. So that's the meaning of Kodesh Bracha, Yain Sameach. But okay, let's Agdom. In our case, it's a goylam. Before we make the case, before we turn it into a case, it's still a goylam. Why? Because when you're keli, when is a person a keli to the Yain Sameach, to this Bainanus, is a klireikum. Like it says in Chazal, again, it's Maramis to the Maimah Chazal, Midas Basav Adam, klireikum marzik. The nature of Basav Adam, the nature of this world is that they're empty cup, an empty kli, an empty receptacle can handle. You can put stuff in there. What does it mean in our case? Should bittul, should be reckoned as bittul. Only when the person is in a state of bittul. Then it can be a case, then it can be a cup to receive these benefits. That's when it sees. Mashenka, when a person is as full of his ego, mind, he feels that he is his own being. And that expresses itself, that is full of interests there, and he rates it, I want this and that's good for me, that's beneficial to me. Then he's like I said, the Musa. Sometimes he says, some people say he's a person so full of himself that's klimale. He says about certain things, I can't do it. What does it mean he can't do it? And he goes more into detail. Said there's various specific expressions of this. But each individual person, anybody businessman or yeshivalite, each one can see within himself that aspect of his yeshus, his ego, and his interest, what he wants, what he doesn't want, and then he claims, he really believes that he can do certain things. The truth, that itself, that he feels, that he thinks, he can't achieve sometimes, that itself is an expression of his yesh. Because the emes is enekein. It's not true. The Eibishter does not give people stuff they cannot do. They gives them missions they cannot do. Even if he was given something to do something, it means he can do it. That's another expression in Gemara. We looked at that in Ksubis. From Gam Shichna, that you, when you, the Seder is that when you have animals that have to carry stuff, each one is given the amount, how much he could carry. Just another mushal of the expression that when the Rebbe gives you a test, it means he knows that you can do it. So why does he say it can do it? And there are people who are going to call it Zois. The fact that he lags the beetle, the beetle till it goes, that causes him all this foreign interests. Not only that, he thinks that he can do it. That's also a result of his beetle, of his ego. Right? So what is the solution? How do we fix that part that he has an ego? Basically, an artisan takes a piece of metal and turns it into a cup. How does it work? It takes a hammer and he hits the metal. So he hits the metal with a hammer. Till the metal turns into a very thin sheet of metal. And then he bends it. It's a muscle. So how does a metal turn into a cup? By hitting it. It's similar in the nimshal leiv nir, but we need to receive it. When a person's heart is broken, which is similar to what the artisan does with metal, person does with the metal, with the hammer, similar when it comes to the person's ego, leiv nishba, he has to break the heart, is medayim. Says nema nitke v'loy daka. Nitke means he's broken, not he's broken by an act. Something's hitting him. Not daka. Daka means he's in the lower state. Was meint das? Which idea shifos war bitushim shmachel v'vashatzmi. How do you achieve it? To the fact that to concentrating how he's mavatash himself, the recognition of his own low state. Because of sexual bainim, like Tanya expresses one of these baininus that makes a person realize how low he is. The recognition of a person who does averas is worse even Balachaim Tmein. Why? Because the Balachaim, even the Balachaim Tmein, they don't contradict the Eibishter's will. They perform their mission, but the Eibishter created them for. I think in a person who doesn't have Vera, He's worse than them. So that recognition that breaks his spirit and his heart. It's like similar to what we said before. The hammer breaking the straightening out of the metal with a hammer. When he makes a cheshbon, he makes a cheshbon nefesh. Yachshav eitev irtze klar tzeiresele. You'll think into why does he want all this foreign interest? Another point is interesting. He's making it that it's a little different than we usually say. Why does he deserve? See, he says he wants this, he wants that. Why does he deserve the fulfillment of his interests? If he would be in a proper spiritual state, you can say he deserves a reward from above. But he says now he said that Mashenkin he who failed, he doesn't deserve it. That's number one. But Emma then said that Chagav Oz, even with Taka Be'evid Hashem, that itself, if it would be a real Evid Hashem, we wouldn't need he wouldn't have any of the found interest. The Sibba Saratzenis Azor is the original cause that he has all this found interest, Rak Me'eda Aveda. Going back, since he's not with Hashem Kedeboy, so there's no reason why his interest should be fulfilled. But they call that it's a too contemplating and meditating on all this, so that breaks his heart and breaks his spirit. And that means he's in a state of beetle, and now it's a clear likus. So it becomes clear likus. That is the first. That's what we said earlier. The kois, the nasa migoyim tzura. Then he says, "Gam." Okay, now he adds an even more like deeper and more subtle shot. So that's nitka. Nitka means someone who is in the state he has to be broken. Gam mishu daka be'etzem. Even a person is daka be'etzem, he doesn't have found interests. He's l'chatchila good. He only does the right thing. The Einishu bottle. He's daka bottle, not nitka. He's bottle, not tzatzim. That's another point. So the first madriga, that's what he turned a piece of metal into a cup. That's the case. Now he says there's another halacha in Keshel Bacha. It's not enough that you have a case. It's a shtifim bifnim. It says in Shulchan that the Keshel Bacha we have to rinse it out before we use it. What's meant is not voida. I know, but shtifim bifnim means but not only does he have to break his found interests, which is that the creation of the case, but even things that is okay, things that are things that are not found. It's a lot to do. Even they have to be rinsed, which means that's an expression in Tanakh. Which means that he do it. You ever looked it up? What Rashi said, means it doesn't.
Where in Tanakh?
In Divrei Hayomim go. Mizvul and Yetzet Sova. It's a question in Divrei Hayomim. Says Rashi. Rashi says. Bein b'miskaven, bein shaloi b'miskaven. Oy menatzchim. It's interesting. So according to Rashi, b'loi leid means but. B'loi leid means shaloi b'miskaven. B'leid means b'miskaven. But here, not just here, in a lot of places, the expression b'loi leid means zvul. Aleph yud beis lamed aleph. The b'loi leid means without intent. It means his heart is not into it. The heart, in our case, the person Itaka doesn't have saying is Zorim means Dvorim Asurim, but here we're talking about Daka, it's bottom. Maybe it doesn't have any Dvorim Asurim, but even Dvorim Motorim, he does it, but his heart is not in it. But another mean another expression of Elias, and that's what it says in Tanya, and brings from Chazal, Kadesh Atzma Mutalach, which goes up to Sefer Bein Reklam. In other words, Kadesh Atzma Mutalach, even the Motorim, there has to be Kadesh Atzma, he has to limit himself. So all this is Shtifa. But if it lacks that thing, a person is talking now, doesn't have a sin, it's Zorim, Chas v'Shalom, he doesn't do things that are also, but Dvarim Motorim is not medagdek. So then, Arikis Meluchla. So that's is compared to dirty cup, she'ein oil atal b'yayin, which you can't put wine in it. Like it said, Kashal Bacha tzarich shtifa. Well, can't tzarich shtifa is bebitul. So the shtifa means the beetle of Dvarim Motorim. This beetle of Neskil Likus. Okay, so we finished discussing the whole, again, started the whole, like I said, it's like a half a page of avoided expression just to explain what it's all based on Meredes Haban. That Talmudoid is Meredes. Meredes have Baila. Baila is Bailai Chesayich. Bailai Chesayich is bringing that make a Goylam a Kli. So he went into this whole long discussion and he explained Avodas. He explained in Avodah the opposite. We have to break the Meredes, turn it into a curse. But going back, Bailai Chesayich means again, even the Bailai Chesayich is just a part of explaining Talmudoid. So Bailai Chesayich Nasach Nes Kli. That Isayich means the beetle, till the beetle become a Kli. And what is the real Kli? Not is it only is it a Kli that he could receive the Ashpa Milmailo from Elikus, Lishat Shekosa, Sheir Tabelikus. So the real Kli is like it says in Pasuk, Lishat Shekosa. That the female wants the Isha, the husband, which means in Aveda, that the Nefesh Alikis, the Nefesh Aram, the person wants to be, as the desire to connect to the Eivish. So all this explains, after we describe what Isha, what Kli means, so that explains in our case, the Meredes, Talmudoi, which is Meredes, She'ein Kli L'Kavol. So that's what Meredes is, She'ein Kli. Vezeo Talmudoi, so that is the inner Talmudoi. It's the Talmudoi means, so the Gemara says Talmudoi, it's really a remez on the Yitzhak, which is Meinei Ma'akim, which brings all the things we spoke before about. It's not a Kli. That's one point. Then another point, if you look in the beginning of our Maimar, page, second page. Kuf Yud Beis, right? And the second line brings from Rashi. Rashi says, Kayata with Goy, says Rashi, Malakte Eitzim Dakim Shemisakim B'Shuk. So that's the way Rashi describes Talmudoi. It's a special nation of people whose occupation is, number one, Malaktim Eitzim Dakim. They collect thin pieces of wood. I guess because thin pieces of wood, so they're on the end. First, the people collect the big pieces, and they come to the small pieces. So they stay very late in the market. So it's very late. That's a simple shot in Rashi. But now, after we explained of Chassidus, the Talmudoi really means we read this, the Yitzhak, so now you explain the Rashi of Chassidus. Number one, Malak Eitzim Dakim, and Eitzadas Tevora. So the Eitzim Dakim is a remez of Eitzadas Tevora, which basically the Adgosha is the Ra. It means there's Tevora. They are expressing the Ra, the evil. That's like the Dak. Misakim B'Shuk, and the second part of the Rashi says Misakim B'Shuk, that they stay very late in the Shuk, in the market. It's also an expression of the Yitzhak. Why? B'Shuk or Shus Arabim. Two of the product. Shuk is the opposite of Shuk is a place for Shus Arabim. Ilchas Shabbos, remember Ilchas Shabbos, Platia, one of the places that we describe in Ilchas Shabbos, what Shus Arabim is, a big place where people, like a shopping center or something, not inside our house, a shopping center on the street. So that's a Shuk. So that's Rosh Hashanah, and that's Torah the Poda. We know in I think Torah the Pod is an expression. Where is it? Zaya, maybe it's in before Zaya. Torah the Pod, I mean, let me see. Yeah, it isn't Zaya, I guess. Yeah, I don't see it. So before see this uses that that's maybe that's in yeah, it's in Zaya. Yeah, it's in, the expression in Zaya. Torah the Pod means the mountains that separate, because Rab means Rabim means the meaning of separation. It's Chalkut. It's Yachin and Rab. Yachin is one. So it says in other places in Kabbalah, the four Arba Roshoyes the Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, the Chidush Halaylam, that's Atzilus. Rosh Hashanah, I think Rosh Hashanah is Lamasir, is the lowest place, the lowest place. In our case, means it's more than. In other words, something the division which is the opposite of Ardus Hashem. So that's Mela. So we see that in Rashi, they put what point like the Eitim, Sakim B'Shuk express the idea of Meret.
White Torah.
Oh, white Torah. Yeah, it's a good point. White Torah. I don't remember now white Torah because white Torah. So let's see. Maybe this guy says.
Maybe because Torah is Michshelo is a hard way out.
No, things that Michshelos. No, I don't think so.
It's a horror.
It's on the Kahar. Maybe, but I don't think so. Let's see why it's still. Let me see.
Middays, maybe it's called tar.
Huh? It's okay. It's really based on a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Hori Basar, remember? Chodeidi. Oh yeah, that's what it's based on. It's really the put as a translation of the word in Shir Hashirim. That you're jumping away from Hori Basar. Hori Basar is translated in Zohar Tur the Pud. That's a Tur comes from. Actually, the source, why we call it Tur, because like I said, it's a translation. Maybe it's the Targum in Shir Hashirim. The Hori Basar is Tur the Pud. Basar Mloshen Vaivate, to cut, to separate. Again, so Tur the Pud is a translation of Hori Basar. Now, again, why it's called Horim? Like sometimes the I don't know. Maybe.
To me, it sounds that holy means that it's harder to overcome.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Like it's showing tzaddikim kahar. Okay, maybe. So what is the pasuk? The pasuk is in David Tzvi Oilef Ayolim Al Hori Botzer. Let's see. So what does Rashi say? Let's see. Rashi says. Rashi Taka says. Botzer Lashon Chalukah. Oh, in other words, he runs away into the mountains, in some hidden place. In simple pshat and pasuk. Maybe it can also call Torah the Put. Let's see what the.
But here he's talking about doidi. Doidi litzvi al hori basar.
No, because he runs away. Yeah, means the pasuk means pasuk means that the tzvi daidi is running away. He's not with you. He's away. You run away to our pasuk. Okay, so 1 second. I think that's pshat. You know, you usually no citizens don't really discuss this type of detail, but that's an interesting point to figure out. Yeah, but you know, everything you said probably true. That I have to look it up. Maybe it's not connected to the tzaddik and kahar, that it's an obstacle. Yeah, all these things are probably true. Also, ha means, you know, gaive. There's other things why ha represents it's a horror. So maybe that's a two the put. It's put. It's separate, and how you know, remember in the story with how Sinai with the other Harim, because they're big, so that's an expression of gaivis. It's also certain level of separation. Okay. Maybe I'll find some other sources. Okay. Okay, so that's what the Talmud is. So the Ner Chanukah, like I said earlier, the mitzvah is to light the candle a Pesach mitzvah b'chutz, and the doorpost that lights the outside. Well, exactly. So the point of the Ner Chanukah is to shine also the Rosh Hashanah, the chutz. There's another pasuk that signifies this point. So there are two levels in Havaya. There's Havaya, Neri Havaya, that's the stam, the early key stam. And then there is the second Havaya, that shines, that lightens my darkness. Havaya means Havaya de Leil. Havaya de Leil, Shemagia means which shines. Gam Achesher de Shusab. Okay, so we explained one point. And it takes other parts, other details in the Ner Chanukah. L'chein Ner Chanukah Shmeina Neres. This is also why the candles, the Chanukah is Shneis Eine Ches Vamim Havaya. So, like I said, Ner Havaya, Shmeina Neres means Ches Vamim Havaya. What is it? Kamoi Kina de La'asid Shmeina Nimit. The Medrash says the kina de la'asi, the kina, the kina of now is shivanim. Kina, the kina is something that shall zayin pamim avaya. Kina de la'asi is shmeina nim ches pamim avaya. Which means, he says, sure, another emes, ches pamim avaya, but gematria yitzchak. If the gematria 8 times Havaya is the gematria Yitzchak, so the concept of Ches Pamim Havaya is Maram is a Gila Kus Bailam Bila Asid Love, like I said earlier in the Maimon. Gila Yasham Mitin Yasham Niva. Kamoik and Chanukah, that concept is also Chanukah. Sechlia is a Pesach Besim Bachutz Dafka, that the concept of Chanukah is to shine the outside, the Chutz, the Yeshus Rabim, the Olam. Mshachas Gila because Olam as so by Olam Sachash Yeshus Rabim. Going back, so going back to what you said earlier about Talmudoi. Again, so it's in Chassidus Pshat. What Adakari Talmudoi? The simple Pshat means what time do you light Chanukah from Mishkan Tishkachama? Adakari Talmudoi from Shki until the less there's less people in the market are still around. But Chassidus says no. Adakari means what Ner Chanukah does is that is mechale, it destroys the Yom Tamadori. It means gam amoydim shein of kabel, even the moydim, which we said earlier, the Tzahor and everybody who lacks that the keli is full of yeshus. Your voice is klois hanefesh. Kali means velach klois hanefesh. They reach the state of klois hanefesh. The oil deicha chaysha, because the oil, the light of Hanukkah is deicha chaysha, pushes away the darkness. Okay, now they gilead and something got my mind because klois hanefesh. But that it brings in another, like I said, another deeper pshat and Kali Hamadoi. But then when it comes to this, he goes into a little more detail when it's Avodas Hashem. Because the 2 ways of being the chaysha. The regular one is a chayzot, which means from the matal ma'ilo, like I said earlier. From the matal ma'ilo. What does it mean? Avoid. Sometimes these two ways are sometimes in the sikhs it's like the difference in the musar chassidus. I said earlier musar. Also, what is no? A person is busy. A person does cheshbon nefesh and he's busy. He realizes that he has certain bad traits, bad midas, taivas, and gaiva, and he's mavar means he works on himself from the bottom to fix himself, contain himself, which is bir l'zacha chumris. He breaks himself from within. He holds himself in from taivas, in gaiva, etc. There's another way to deal with it. Instead of you being busy with yourself, to elevate yourself, there's no malamat. It means you just expose yourself to something above you, and automatically you change. How does it work? Just learn Torah. That itself will make you a different person. In other words, instead of being busy, concentrating on your own chisregas and fixing them, immerse yourself in something higher than you, and automatically you'll be cleansed. Well, derech marshal. So that's an interesting. We spoke about it. The marshal, what it brings here.
It's like the first thing. It's similar to the first thing. Kol istasu shelo yelzach echumrius.
Why is it similar?
What does it mean?
The opposite means he's busy with he's thinking about himself. He sits down, like I said, like I listen to Moshe. He sits down. He thinks, I'm very bad at and doing certain things. I'm very bad in davening. So he breaks himself. He thinks, why am I so bad? Let's get better. It's like no matter a mile. The other thing is, no, you don't think about yourself. You just learn Torah, and automatically, just a step higher, you become you just overwhelm your negative traits with something higher than yourself. It's the opposite. You don't think about yourself. It's not the self-centered. Usually,
but if a person learns and doesn't really think about this in yonim, it's not going to be automatically. There has to be aware of what is going, what has to happen.
Look, you're talking about how it works in practical terms. So I'm saying that's the idea he's saying here. But like like we say, a person, you don't know how to swim, just jump into the water and you'll swim. In other words, it's not. Don't think, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. Just forget about yourself. Be bottled to something that's above you. And he brings a marshal that we spoke about it the first time, that we don't really always. It's a different, unique situation. What is he saying? The two ways the way a teacher can deal with a student. If the student has some capacity, some talent, when the teacher teaches him in an orderly way, in a gradual way, so eventually he develops his mind. That's one way, the way a teacher affects the student. Somebody is lacking the basic capacity to learn. So what is one of the ways to transform him? Yes, it's a shara v'shpil is seichel omek shalaman l'mekimoichel. There's a davke nasipnes klik. When we learned the first time, I told you I'm not really familiar with such a thing happens in real life, but I guess that, like we spoke about it, in the as an inspiration, it makes sense. You see, you're inspired by something, you come to Fabringen and you hear something which is above you, and that makes you that we can relate to a little at least. But in the world of Seichel, I don't know. I mean, I personally don't know where the experience is. You don't know anything. Your mind is blocked. You come to shiur and somebody gives a shiur and something you don't know what he's talking about. All of a sudden, the fact that he throws at you such high concepts, all of a sudden makes you a different person. That's what he says here. I'm not familiar in real life where it's happening. I guess there is such a thing exists. It says it, but like the word inspiration, we can relate to it. That a person is the very lost state. So the one way to, like I said before, usually in the sikhs, there's a difference between Musa and Chassidus. Musa means we talk about you have bad midas. You're too lazy. You're too self-centered, etc. You dribble in what you are, and slowly you get out of it. Chassidus says just learn Chassidus, just concentrate on the Eberster. Think about the Nafshalikis, the Eberster, God Hashem, and automatically your ego is subdued. I mean, again, it's not my ego. I'm saying that's what it says in the Sikhs. The Vilga of Sikhs mostly that this is the difference of Sikhs and Musa. So in a way, I think what he says here is similar to what I'm saying. So that's the way it is in the marshal. In the marshal of R'Dovid Olidort, it sounds it's not even Torah. It's not R'Dovid Olidort. A teacher wants to teach a student math or anything. So that's what he says. The marshal, which we have to. Not sure how. The Nimshal Birurim is similar in the Birurim of the Nefesh Habahamis. שהידי המשוך הסעיר רב להשקיע בהרגיע בתוירה גם שאין כלי עדיין נסח נסכלי. מה המשקוס מזה בדעה וכל אומרים נ"ה? Maybe נ"ה over there explains it better. I'll look it up. זהו מצווה של משתישקה החמו, the following in the Chanukah עם של גילה יוסף בבייה. That's going back to the beginning of the Maimon. That's why the mitzvah of Chanukah is dafka mishetishka after shkia, unlike Ner Shabbos. It's dafka mishetishka after shkia, which means bebiya. V'zeh mishetishka acham mishach Hashem havai bebiya. Shashkia is zricha, like we said before. Mikayim eshev zereh. The shkia itself, that's the zricha. There was that dafka nimshach knesat v'zeh. That's what the Ratzah says. It's nimshach. Said earlier in the Maimon that the ultimate kavan is the tachton. Well, kein ya'ach tichel regel v'nashuk, and that's the meaning of tichel v'nashuk. Again, it I lawyer gamma I'm told the podo. Again, ashtichla also means it doesn't say exactly. No, okay, that means tichla. Over here, tichla means the the timing is when there's regular b'shuk. V'zat kam like I said earlier, place on nefesh. Okay, let me back a look in the mind on the head. I have it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is there's long interest in these two types of Gehur. No, okay, all right. So tomorrow we'll deal with it, and also we'll read the kids of the Mimer. We'll look more up this Mimer here. Nun-hey. Okay, go.
Here also the key is saying, look at the word. He's saying Yegia Shekeda Yegia Betura Rabba. Yegia Rabba Behasakadelikus. In other words, some people might think, say, okay, you just learn, but this is not just it's not enough.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm not saying it's something that happens automatically. Okay, you're right. Okay.
Oh, Yegia Rabba, that's not something normal.
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Let's see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay.